Roger Waters has been under an intense amount of scrutiny in 2023. Not because what he's saying is controversial or outside of what he normally does. It's because he's, well, probably right over the target with his criticism. First and foremost, we got, the Pink Floyd pioneer saying that Hamas were morally bound to resist occupation. Ooh, somebody understands history. On October 7th, and accuses Israel of making up stories about their terror attack. Well, they just released the mythical 1,400 names on the list, and spoilers, half of them are soldiers, so, interesting. Very interesting. I thought it was all civilians. Meanwhile, you look at the death tolls on the other side, and you realize that, wow, an awful lot of kids on that, but that's all right. It's not like Israel would consider them people. Pink Floyd co-founder Roger Waters said that Hamas were morally bound to resist occupation on October. I don't know where September came from. October 7th, and accused Israel of making up the stories about the terror attack. I would say embellishing, but okay. The musician, 80, stoked controversy over the summer for continuing the gag that he used to do for when he would perform hits from the wall. Okay. Nazi-style coat to his concert, leading him to be investigated by German police following a gig in Berlin. No, he's legitimately done that forever. Like, it was so stupid when this first came up. Speaking on the Rubble podcast system update, with Glenn Greenwald. Oh, interesting. The aged rocker said that there was something very fishy about Israel not realizing Hamas were invading. Oh, no, they did. I think we've got confirmation of that multiple times over, of Hamas knowing of the Mossad knowing exactly what was going down, having days and months worth of information and just going, yeah, no, that'll be fine. Because we got plans. We got some plans. So yeah, if they do anything, sure would be a shame if somebody set up like a music festival, like real close to the borders of God. Yeah, hey man, you just, in the name of one of their descendants, never let a good crisis go to waste. Waters, who said he was an opponent to the whole Zionist exercise, cool, went on to question the atrocities committed by Hamas, saying the terrorist organizations were absolutely legal and morally bound to resist. Well, what does he mean by that? Does he go on to illustrate? Waters said, yeah, we don't know what they did do, but they were justified for them to resist the occupation. Yeah, but of course, he's got some of our greatest allies out there on the street protesting him because, I don't know, he had theatrics at a concert and he has a position about things. Okay, I don't know how that's a direct attack on them or anything. But again, it's the Geneva Convention. Oh no, you're not supposed to mention like facts or anything like that. You're supposed to, if you're going to reference any sort of historical decree, you're supposed to go back to when the chosen people, God's favorite, were bestowed the land. Like, come on. He continued, need to go back to that, and absolutely legally and morally bound to resist the occupation since 1967. It's an obligation. No. It was originally British Palestine. They gave it over to the Jews, and it's totally fine. Don't look at anything else. It's not like, the Jews were supposed to have a certain part and that they've continued to encroach. Don't worry about it. No. He continued, as I said in a statement after it, if war crimes were committed, I condemn them. Wow, imagine that. A measured response, but everybody's already checked out. Oh, he supports terrorism. Nobody supports fucking terrorism, you weirdos. They have finally come out and with figures of how many people were actually killed, who were there. Who they were on that day. Probably the first 400 were Israeli military personnel. That's not necessarily untrue at all. This is not a war crime. No, exactly. If there's military personnel that end up taken out, still sucks, but I don't know, that's war. Of course, I don't condemn but the thing was thrown out of proportion by the Israelis making up stories about beheading babies. No. Ben Shapiro has that AI generated picture. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not AI generated. It's just totally and completely undiscernible because, well, if you don't believe it, you're an anti-Semite. The host claimed Waters has been targeted with character smears and attacks, suggesting it is because he expressed views that are threatening to people in power. Well, who knows about that? Well, don't do any research into any of the governments. Maybe not like the top end, but definitely don't take a look at the different branches of, especially United States government, and just figure out where certain historical allegiances lie. no, you wouldn't want to do that and come to any uncomfortable conclusions. But here's Roger Waters, right? Like he's just a rock star, and he's got his positions on stuff. But where does he come to the conclusion that Hamas and the Palestinians have a right, have a moral obligation to resist occupation? What's he talking about? What is he talking about? It's not like Israel. It's not like, Bibi Netanyahu is out there saying that he's going to be taking over the Gaza Strip for an indeterminate amount of time. Oh, wait, Israel will take overall security responsibility for Gaza for an indefinite period, says, Netanyahu. Oh, no, that's exactly what ended up happening. Oh, okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Monday that the Jewish state will be responsible for the overall security. Where have we heard that before? Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's just the security troops coming in. Just make sure everybody gets ushered out appropriately. Weird. For an indefinite period. Oh, where have we also heard that? After the country's war against Hamas ends. Well, after you thoroughly bomb out every hospital, apartment building, school, church, mosque, anything you can really drop a bomb on. Netanyahu, 74, hinted at his vision of the future of the Palestinian-controlled territory. Yes, 100% less Muslim, 100% more them boys. During an interview on ABC News' World News Tonight with David Muir, where he explained that Gaza should only be led by those who don't want to continue the ways of Hamas. Oh wow, really seems like nation building, where you end up in these situations where it's, oh yeah, no, they really want democracy. Trust us, guys. Afghanistan has just been begging for this stuff for a long time. I think Israel will, for an indefinite period, will have overall security responsibility, because we've seen what happens when we don't have it. Yeah, exactly. And we've also seen what happens when you do have it, yet let certain things happen on a certain day. When we don't have the security responsibility. What we have is the eruption of Hamas terror on a scale that we couldn't imagine. Well, it sounds like you really could, and those totals haven't really shifted all that much. And to tell you the truth, I've seen more TikTok dances that really reminisce that to the Ukrainian conflict coming from the IDF as to actual conflict going down on the ground. And what happened? What happened, man, as the days have gone on? I don't know. Have they not given their artists enough time to come up with recreations of war crimes? But it's been a second since we've heard anything like a baby in an oven, 40 beheaded babies. Oh, look at those bodies being paraded in the street. Haven't heard anything about that, but it's still, we're totally within our power to deny any humanitarian aid coming into the borders, because we need to, properly secure the area. I think Israel, when we don't have enough security responsibility, we have an eruption of terror that we couldn't imagine. Biden told CBS's 60 Minutes last month that Israel occupying Gaza would be a big mistake. No, they're not occupying it. They're just providing security for it, arguing that there needs to be a Palestinian Authority in charge of the Palestinian people. I would, for the first time in a very long time, I would agree with whoever's feeding Joe Biden these lines. Yes, would lead a Palestinian state. But there's somebody in charge, their very handsy neighbor, I think that's probably the best way that we can put it, who's not at all that concerned with allowing women and children to live in their little area. That's why they're also taking out their frustration on the West Bank that is not under control of Hamas. So how do you marry those two positions together? We need to take out Hamas because they support terrorists. I don't fully agree with your statement, but okay, let's just do that thought experiment for a second, okay? There was some terrorists that were conducting acts under the banner of Hamas. Okay, we can go that far on that one. Okay, denouncing terror in all of its forms, 1000%, totally on board with that. And you want to get rid of any of those bad actors. Okay, so trying to take out their shot callers. Interesting. Okay, I guess I understand that. And yeah, they could just as easily go over to that other section. They could just as easily go over to the West Bank. It's like, yeah, they could, but why are you conducting military operations over there? Why are you bombing out those places? Why are you destroying businesses and infrastructure that's over there? Oh, right, because you're not going to be happy until you get all of your chosen land back under your control, which, if you take a look at those borders, you realize exactly what Netanyahu and the bigger Zionist strategy is. Yeah, all I've got to say is he's probably going to need a few more security guards if he's looking to instill similar policies. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.